everyone, and welcome to today's video. So in my hands here I've got the Hagstrom Viking II. So this is the reissue of the 1967 Viking, and my initial plan with this guitar was to do a similar kind of demo format as I have done for the other Hagstrom videos, if anyone's seen those. And I'm still going to take us through the tones and specs, but having spent a little bit of time with this guitar now, it's got quite a unique feature set, certainly against other hollow body designs, but also against some of the other guitars in the Viking line. So I want to focus in a little bit more on those more unique features, I guess. I also want to talk about how we might integrate this guitar as part of a collection or use it as a standalone instrument. And finally, I want to talk about why, as writing and recording guitar players, why having a hollow body guitar can be a really useful tool if we've not already got one in a guitar collection. So the first of these more notable features I want to mention is the headstock. And I'll have some close-ups pan over as I'm talking so we can see things in more detail. Here we've got 6 tuners in a line as opposed to the usual 3 aside that we see on other Viking models. And also other hollow body designs, and there are examples in the past of 6 aside, but I would say that more commonly we see the 3 aside option. The reason Hagstrom have chosen to do this is it's in keeping with what was on the original 67 Viking, as are a lot of the appointments on this guitar. So moving on to the neck now, we've got a very thin neck on here, so it's ideally suited for anyone who has smaller hands or just prefers a thinner neck in general. It's a 40mm nut width. It's quite a modern feeling neck for such a vintage inspired guitar, I guess, but again this is in keeping with what was on the original design. The Vikings were renowned for having really thin necks. Moving down the neck now, this is a really kind of uncommon feature. I can't think of any other hollow body designs that have a bolt-on construction. I'm sure there are some, and if I have neglected to mention your favourite bolt-on hollow body, do let me know in the comments section and I shall do a bit more research. Tonally speaking though, this is going to give us a slightly brighter response, slightly snappier I guess, obviously subject to the rest of the variables on any given guitar, which moves us on to the pickups. So on the original 67 Viking we saw single coils, and that's the same pickups that we see on the Condor and Impala models that Hagstrom offer. Here we've got the H52 mini humbuckers. So for anyone who's not familiar with mini humbuckers, these are the humbuckers that are shrunk down, but tonally speaking they will have a little bit more clarity to them, a little bit more top end, and I kind of put them in the same bracket as Filtertrons and P90s. So I guess halfway house kind of between humbuckers and single coils. I think they really work well on this guitar. I think both tonally and aesthetically they're a really good match, and they fit the vibe of the guitar. So last thing I want to mention, this guitar is a hollow body, not a semi-hollow like a lot of the Viking models we see. We have got a little block underneath here to kind of reinforce the bridge, but this is a hollow body guitar. So from a playability point of view, this guitar's definitely got a kind of rockabilly vibe to it. It's very resonant, so if I hit an open chord, it's very loud, it's very lively, I can feel that resonating throughout the body. And this is making me play slightly differently than I normally would if I was to play one of my own guitars. And what I'm finding is because it's got that resonance and that kind of bloom to it, I'm playing more open chord ideas, more open string, country type licks I guess. But also more single note, single string ideas, so moving horizontally, because the notes kind of bloom and they build as you play them, and it's rewarding, particularly playing unplugged, to play the note and have it kind of build more so than on a solid body electric guitar. So I found it's definitely pulled out that different side of my playing, which is nice, and I would recommend that to any guitar player, to have a guitar in the collection that sends them on a different kind of creative path than they would normally find themselves on. So this guitar also actually reminds me of some of the early Japanese and Italian pawnshop style guitars we saw from the 60s, 70s. There's no Japanese or Italian in this. This is Swedish design and Chinese construction. But the reason I'm getting that kind of vibe from it is that they were all quite individualistic guitars. They all had unique pickups and quite quirky body shapes. And this is similar in that it's definitely trying to do its own thing. It's not trying to imitate anybody else. It's not necessarily trying to fall in line with the rest of the Viking models. And there's some crossover features, but some definite kind of departures. It's worth mentioning that a lot of the pawnshop guitars had playability and tuning issues, which I've not experienced on this guitar so far. I'm just getting the kind of vibe of a really well-built pawnshop style guitar, I guess. So I just want to talk a little bit now about how we might use this guitar either as a main instrument or integrated as part of a guitar collection. So obviously if you're playing any kind of traditional music style, be it country, rockabilly, blues, rock and roll, that kind of thing, this guitar was designed when those were the popular genres in consumable music, so it's going to be ideal for any of those. So if those are your kind of go-to playing styles, this could quite easily be your main instrument. The way I would use this personally would be to bring out that different side of my playing that I mentioned before. So for example, if I was on a session and I had the Strat, the Telly, the Les Paul covered, this would be the guitar that I would go to anytime I wanted to bring out that different side of my playing. It might be for a part that I wanted to be a little bit more unpredictable. And again, tone-wise, for anything where I didn't want it to sound characteristic of another guitar, to get that unique voice. So there's certain tones we can recognise on a recording. So for example, like out-of-phase Strat or Telly bridge. For anything where I wanted a more kind of distinct sound, this might be the guitar I'd go to. And again, if I was playing anything more traditional, I'd pick up this one. So to finish off, I just want to talk a little bit about how, as writing and particularly recording guitar players, or for anyone who wants to expand the guitar tones they already have readily available to them, why a hollow body guitar can be such a useful tool in that respect. And the biggest reason for me is that it's such a hard guitar tone to emulate if we're not using a hollow body guitar. And there's certain tones we can semi-convincingly recreate if we've not got the guitar we had in mind for a part. So say for example, if you want to sound like a Telecaster bridge pickup and you're using humbuckers, if you back the volume down a little bit and maybe use a compressor and a treble boost, we'll get quite close. I've never had any luck in trying to make a solid body guitar sound like it's a hollow body. And I think there's a couple of reasons. Obviously there's the design, it's going to sound more resonant on hollow body, it's got more air in it. But also there's the playing style thing that I mentioned before, and I think a lot of players would share a similar sentiment in that if they picked up a bigger bodied hollow body guitar, they would come up with different creative lines, I guess, musical lines, than they would over a solid body. So not only have we got the tonal differences in the design, but we've also got the musical choices. So I think that's why it's such a hard kind of guitar tone to recreate if we're not using a hollow body guitar. So for anyone who is looking to expand their guitar tonal palette and looking at acquiring new instruments, a hollow body is definitely something to consider in that respect. So that was the Hagstrom Viking II, the reissue of the 67 model. If you did enjoy the video, please like and subscribe, and if you've got any questions, let me know in the comment section. I do speak to the guys at Hagstrom on quite a regular basis, so if there's any questions I don't know the answers to, I will liaise with them and get back to you on that one. As always, big thank you for watching. Thank you to Hagstrom and Reissue for sending the guitars over. Take care, and I will see you in the next video.